Greetings everyone, this is Lodrik and this is our game War in the Pacific Admirals Edition. This is a match against Dojo. Now we will enter the last turn of January 1942. So it is 30th of January 1942. And yeah, let's dive in and see what will happen. Normally we will have some... We try to intercept some fleet escaping from Singapore, and we will have the first attempt to conquer the last base in northern Philippines. It's Bataan, and we need Bataan to simply open the port of Manila, to also prepare the shipping out of the armies to start the invasion of Java. Okay, let's see. Load. This one. Yes. So the turn before we conquer, or I don't know, maybe 2 turns ago we capture Singapore, roughly you can say 2.5 weeks earlier than the historical event. And if we can finish the Battle of Bataan up to mid of February, then we are also much faster. So I think the last battle of the Philippines ended in 6th of April. So if we can take it in mid of February, then we are nearly up to 2 months of more quickly than the original Japanese army was. But that's more or less... okay, let's see what happened here. Happened here something? American submarine. But our patrol boat simply intercepts the submarine. But it's deep water. So in deep water you can normally always say, even if we find an attack, the damage we do is minor. So in this case we not even find the submarine. We spotted the submarine, but later I cannot locate it more. So this is shallow water. Here it's much easier normally to really damage an enemy submarine. But looks like we cannot locate it. So the spot out of the patrol boat can locate the submarine on the surface, then the submarine try to dive, and our patrol boat try to close the distance and then make an attack. But in the moment we arrive at the location of the submarine, we simply cannot find it more. Our patrol boat have not really good equipment for hunting and destroying submarines. It's only a support ship. So these are not real military ships, these are civilian ships only converted in a hasty, cheap way to have at least something. Okay, here's one of our bigger cargo ships, and here we have now this Mark 14 low quality, bad design, hasty or cheap developed. I really don't know where you can start with this. This torpedo story is too complex to say it in one word. You can only say it's a lucky situation for the Japanese, we would say. Okay, this is we attacked this the battle cruiser before already via airstrike on Singapore, so I know that this ship is at least here. And last time we had some scout information that some task force escaped, and I sent a heavy cruiser formation to finish them off. And we are in close range already. We can see that our 20 centimeter guns are not enough to really penetrate the belt armor of the battle cruiser. So this battle cruiser is designed more or less to kill heavy cruisers. So normally this battle cruiser is a cruiser killer. But the situation is simply that the repulse already got 3 or 4 torpedo hits at the beginning, and Dojo can never finish all of this flotation, so the speed must be low. And low speed means simply that it's hard for a ship to avoid a torpedo attack. So we can run with maximum speed in this battle, so we have the maximum ability to avoid enemy shell fire. At the same time, you can see the torpedo hit. Yes, very close range. It is a night attack with high moonlight, so it's a perfect situation for the Japanese night fighting abilities. And we can see it's a 1 torpedo hit, maybe 2 torpedo hits, and then the repulse was dead, or is dead now. It's simply, if the battle cruiser had already 50% flotation damage at the beginning, then we not really must hit many scores more to get it done. And this is only this motor patrol craft 1 point. I think it's a harbor patrol ship. Only for anti-submarine and I don't know what really you can do with this. It's at the end I think 1 hit, 1 kill more or less. So we can see a 1 5-inch grenade already finish this off. So we make our shell hits maybe not really damage the repulse, but the torpedo hits simply wreck the whole hull of the repulse, and the repulse was already heavy damage and slowed, and this is enough. And we get 7 hits on this. And that the ship can survive 7. This small ship survived 7 hits. So we maybe make really quickly very many damage. The ship simply had not enough time to sink. Maybe this gives our ship some experience points. I don't know, because a ship also have experience point for day fight and night fight. But I don't know if the ships really how they can improve their skills. If a real battle improves the skills, or if the skills will improve simply over time, and if a ship can survive a war, gets more experience points. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, this is our submarines. The submarine fleet starts the war very successful, and simply, I will only simply say we was at the beginning, the first 2-3 weeks we were so successful that everything now looks like a failure. But like I said before, I think simply Dojo completely changed his transportation chain and setup, and he avoids this many small task forces, and now he run heavy big protected task forces, and this is simply hard for submarines to find a prey now. But the downside is if Dojo run now this big task forces, it needs more time to operate them. So the efficiency is lower for him maybe now, but he simply lose less. So of course maybe for him it's better. But it's not that we not in an indirect way we simply also reduce the efficiency of Dojo's navy to operate cargo, because he must simply wait that he get enough escort ships, and he cannot run every cargo ship by himself. So it's okay. For me, it's also, if we run this big task force with a lot of escorts, this escort ship simply is are busy. If we keep his escort ships, a lot of destroyers in this area of west coast of America and Philippines and Pearl Harbor, all this escort stuff he cannot bring down to Australia or India. So, you must also say that if I keep my submarines there, then his escort ships are there. If I take my submarines away, then he will also maybe take his escort ships away. So it's I think we try to balance this. I try to balance how many submarines I keep in the area of Pearl Harbor, and I simply will try to take maybe 50% of the submarines away and bring them to Australia, so that maybe I have more submarines in Australia, but are still enough to keep Dojo's escort and destroyers busy and in the air, so that he cannot change his focus too much. But I try to change my focus soon or later. Some bombardment, only to finish the last of this old base forces. Long time ago, they running in the jungle and they stay in the jungle. Normally I would say they have no supplies more, so they normally must starve out. But I don't know if the game really does this, if you really can die if you have no supplies, or if your units only simply have no attack value more. I mean, in any way the units have no use more. But so far I know a unit need attack value to take over a base. So this is the only reason why I worry a little these units in the jungle. If they come out of the jungle after 1 month maybe, and then they make a surprise and take over a base full of equipment, or I mean resources, supplies, whatever. But so far I know you must have attack value. And if a unit have no supplies, normally they will suffer so that they have at least no attack value more. So the unit maybe survive, but cannot conquer more base. At least I hope it is like this. Yeah, I will, sooner or later I will find out. Yeah, this is a typical bombardment in China, so nothing really new. We simply must maintain our dominance of the skies of China, and always support our army groups that they can pick up the Chinese units one by one and get rid of them. I think this turn we have a rest day for our Air Force and air battle in Burma. So we repair our airplanes, we rest the pilots. We now get information that something just sunk, but not our ship, so something from the Americans, British, Allies. Maybe some cargo ship, I don't know what. So we just saw that there was an ally airplane we hit with our flag, but only say hit by flag, so it means not killed by flag. And I mean submarines, they only carry, I think, heavy machine guns, so the damage we do with this kind of weapons are not really enough to destroy an airplane, but maybe enough to force the airplane to return and cannot make an attack on our submarine. Something like this. But there's normally no case that a submarine really can take on a fight with the airplane. Even the very strong I-400 submarines, maybe they have compared to all other submarines a lot of flag power. But The downside is they are also very big, so I think it's more easy for an airplane to hit this kind of submarines. And I mean the I-400, they first arrived in, I think, in end of 44, so maybe we will never see them active. I normally prefer to finish this war in somewhere in 33, 43. It's simply, in the long run, the Americans get only stronger and we get weaker. So I mean, so far I also saw no real attempt of Dojo to really stop me. It's maybe not possible, but so far really there was. I mean, one of our 1-point patrol ships just get a torpedo. I don't really know if this is really so easy possible, because I think this kind of ships, they have a very low draft, so. But looks like you can really attack a so small ship with a torpedo. Anyway, so 2 torpedo hits. So this Dutch sub was successful. So I mean, the ships are small, but they are also very slow. So it is, I think, not so hard to really kill this kind of torpedo patrol boats. But compared to a destroyer is simply much faster. Can more easily avoid a torpedo attack. The question is only, I mean, we lose a ship now maybe. Yeah, we lose this ship now. But it's a 1-point ship. I don't know how many we have of this kind. Maybe 40? Maybe 40, I think. So, but Dojo can now say he sunk a ship. Okay, this is now the first Battle of Bataan, and we can see this is Air HQ, the Navy HQ to base forces. Here's the 3-star general of the Philippine units, and I don't know if this is a MacArthur. Must be, I think. Or maybe there's one HQ I'm missing. I thought there's a 4-star. I thought MacArthur is a 4-star general. So I mean, you can see the window is now full of units. So there are more units. Here's still 1 or 2 slots open. So this is all Japanese units, but here are maybe more ally units, but we don't see them. There's no way to scroll up or down. So this is a little some limitation of the game, not so nice. But we can see that here are still some part units, some Filipino units. They still have power to fight. Well, not too much, but and the Marines are maybe here the strongest forces so far, I see. So maybe 2 or 3 Philippine units and 1 American unit. They're holding against 1, 2, 3. Maybe 3 to 4 and some support. 4 divisions, maybe the attack value of 4 divisions against maybe, if you count this all together, it's maybe 1 or 1.5 division. Let's see what happened now. Here we can see that a lot of the smaller units suffer, and this was now the first unit gets destroyed. We also reduce the fortification, but we don't really have a successful attempt. So just 1 to 1. We destroy a fort, that's not bad. But it was not a really so crazy victory like in... Maybe not so successful like in Singapore, but yeah, you cannot take everything as a first day 1. And if we check the wheel losses, then we can see again mostly is disabled again. So you can see 80 to 90% of the units are only disabled but not destroyed. We really lost not really much. 28 destroyed is not really much. Disabled, yeah, but not destroyed. And the American, they lost mainly only some non-components. So it's a really nothing really. It's very balanced attack. It's was let's say it was not a successful, but it was also not a complete failure for us. And here's some construction regiment. I think it's always good to kill Chinese engineer units, because there are not so many Chinese special units like engineers or anti-aircraft, anti-tank stuff. The Chinese, they simply have a lot of rifle guys, but not really special equipment. So if we can kill this unit now, yeah, I mean there was not many left, so they get destroyed. Important is, I think they are destroyed. So then Dojo must completely rebuild this unit. I don't know if the rule that every unit the rifle guys for sure they're coming back after 3 months, but I don't know if this construction brigade, construction regiment, they're also coming back. I don't know if maybe every land unit come back automatically with 25%. I don't know. We will see. Okay, the second attempt of the takes the base of Lei. Maybe now we are successful. Yeah. Okay. Here you only can see that it was a very small engagement. The numbers was equal, and then also the raw firepower was equal, but simply the Japanese had the motivation to fight to the last man, and they never give up. They fight and die or win. In this case we win. And the Allies, they simply like to run. They try to save their life, and the Japanese, if they save their lives, then they have no honor, and then if they have no honor, then they're also dead. So they don't want to run away, so the Japanese always fight to the end. At least they fight much more to the end. So now we enter the last day of January. January 31st, 1942. Means the next episode I will make a special episode because it's the first of the month, and then I also will check the tracker software, and then we can discuss how is the resource situation, the supply situation, a little more in logistics information. Okay, this is the Dutch sub again, but this time try to fight with a destroyer is simply more hard. We make 2 hits, so I don't know if 2 hits are enough. And here we have now, this is an American submarine, and they also make a hit but no explosion, so this is a Mark 14. So we can say thank you Americans that you use something like a Mark 14 and not the classic Mark 10. I mean true is the Mark 10 only have I think half the firepower of the Mark 14. So this was still the next development step. Every nation simply, in First World War you can use some torpedo with TNT weight of maybe 150 to 200 kilogram. And it was enough normally to damage and sink most of the big ships. But in the First World War, at the end of the First World War, most navies, they realized, okay, you don't not even need armor protection on the surface, you also need something anti-torpedo defense system. So they developed this anti-torpedo systems, bulkhead and all this stuff. And then the small torpedoes, they still hurt maybe a ship, but you need maybe 6 or 7 to really sink a battleship with the small torpedoes. So then, of course, the other side, the submarine force, they say, okay, we need to make 6 hits with the torpedo is nearly impossible, so let's try to develop something bigger. So, and then, of course, every nation start, okay, let's try to make a torpedo with 400, 500 kilogram TNT. But bigger means often also more complicated. And in this case, the Mark 14 was simply bigger, but it was not working. Okay, again. So this submarine maybe already consumed or half of maybe half of all torpedoes the submarine can transport maybe already used. So we maybe not kill the submarines, but they must go back to the base. They must rearm, fix some damage maybe. Okay, this is now the short bombardment on Port Mosby. It's simply a it's to keep the base of Port Moresby, and most important the port and the airfield unuseful for Dojo, so he cannot bring a lot of supplies inside, and he must always repair. This consumes supplies, so if we bring something in, then half of the supplies he maybe consume only to repair stuff. And the airfield is also damaged, so he cannot use the recon and no maybe torpedo bombers or something like here. If I want to come in 1 or 2 weeks with my invasion fleet, I simply don't want to lose anything by an enemy torpedo bomber. If I have the equipment and if I have the time, I simply want to prepare everything well so that everything gets smooth. You can always be unlucky, but at least I try my best to not suffer any stupid losses or unnecessary losses. Now here we can see that there was still something in the airbase of Port Mosby. 2 damaged airplanes and 1 killed. And a little destroyed here. Most important is that we damaged the base. So port hits, port supply hits, so this burns supplies directly, repair, also this burns supplies directly, and then to repair the rest also burns indirectly supplies. Here we land source of Mindanao, I don't know, I must check again. It's simple, you can land source of the base and then you enter the base and then the units cannot run away. It's I think the better way than not running. You can also land directly at the enemy base and fight with the units, but then you suffer at the landing maybe units, and if you conquer this base, then the Dutch forces can also not more run away. So this is the reason why I land there. Okay, we sweeping the mines away. So this is from last time we conquered the base, and now we can clean up these mines. If you try to sweep the mines, but the enemy is a holder of the base, then every attempt of sweeping mines, the enemy can simply try to shoot with coastal battery on your minesweeper, and I mean minesweeping is very slow. If you try to sweep a mine very fast, then you will activate the mine and maybe blow up your own ship. So Okay, this is 16 per submarine maybe. And again we have a hit but no explosion. So it was, let's say this, it was a very successful day for this, at least this American submarine, because at least he can write in his log. He had 2 successful attempts on a strike on the battleship. Only downside is that each strike was a successful hit, but no explosion. But we also see again that our submarine or destroyer escorts, they simply cannot get rid of the submarine. There's still deep water. It's with this equipment is really shit. It's really tired. And you always find submarines, attack them, and they never really do much damage. In deep water, it's so maybe in April we get the better equipment. I don't say it's really good. It will never be so good like the British equipment, but at least it gets better. Okay, nothing. Oh, we find 1 flying tiger. Okay. It's really hard to find anything to fight in China now in the air. There's, I think Dojo really simply call all back to Burma, and maybe all of the Chinese Air Force is somewhere, maybe in Chong, really somewhere where I cannot find it. Okay, damage, but can return to base. No kill. Now we can normally bomb Jinan, and we starve them out. We bombing. We don't get much more a lot of flak. So most of this I think is always damage by flight accidents or takeoff, landing accidents. So this is operational damage. This has nothing to do normally with the enemy. You can see there is our bombers coming. They're dropping the bombs, but there is no anti-aircraft fire more. Means the units are low on supplies. They don't have at least the standard supplies. I think a unit can, I don't know, 150% of the standard supplies a unit can carry directly. And then if you have at least the standard supplies, you still make an attack, anti-aircraft attack if you have guns. But if you have less than your standard supplies, then maybe the flag stops completely or is less. And I think latest if you have half of your standard supplies, you will not more fight back. Okay. Ooh. Our Dojos, I think it's really long time ago that they had them fight. And they find 2 flying tigers. Okay. Oh. The first attack run and immediately a kill. So these are more or less the elite pilots of the Japanese army. So at the beginning of the war we have 1 squadron of this, I think 9 or 12. And they have very high skills. And so you can see how easy the Dojo kill all these P-40s. But we can see also in the animation we see 2 kills, but written here is only 1 kill. So yeah. And we kill the airplane, but the pilot maybe jump out of. And maybe only back to the base, maybe he gets hurt, maybe he's fine, who knows. The problem with this, the Dojos is simply, these are prototypes, you only have this 12 airplanes, and up to April 42 you don't get any replacement for this. So you only have this 12 airplanes, and only simply by maintenance and by, you simply consume these airframes over time, and there is no backup. So first in April you get this official Dojo airframe, and then you can simply switch this air group to the standard Dojo fighter. So I would recommend to use these Dojos where you believe there's enemy fighters, but not use them in long range attack. Because long range extended attack always have the risk of high operational losses, and at the beginning of the war I simply would not use my elite fighters for this kind of operations. This is normally also not necessary. If you prepare your forces well in advance, then you normally must always have combat missions in normal range. Extended range is always emergency situation, and then always something is wrong. You can use drop tanks, because drop tanks simply only consume double the supplies, but will not, hurt airframe. So far I really know, I think the game really simply only say normal range and extended range. But if you use drop tanks, yes or no, it's not more part of this calculation. If the airplane gets more stress and the pilot gets more fatigue. Bad weather, some scouts. Okay. This time they miss. Okay, so this was maybe the most aggressive turn so far in this war from the American submarine fleet, but it was I think the Americans did nothing. Only the Dutch submarine got a hit. I mean, 2 hits, 1 kill, but only 1 point kill. So it's simply no efficiency behind this all. Yeah, then we clean up here 1 base in the north of Rabul. I think there's a small base force at the beginning, but I only use some light cruiser for support. Yeah, we can see there's something small normally, and also hard to maintenance. New Zealand. Here are some resources, so there are some bases. Every base I try to conquer normally must have some resources, oil, something will have value. If there's nothing, I would normally always say why I want this base now. There's also time later for pickup. Okay, the second battle of Bataan now. Yeah, now we can really see everything. So then maybe, I don't know, then maybe this the 3-star general is MacArthur. Because he was an army guy. Ach so! Ah, but this is Air Force, this is Navy, this is Army. Yeah. I don't know. Or Dojo took him out? Because normally this doesn't matter. This MacArthur HQ. If he gets killed in... I mean, if we conquer the base and he kills this HQ, I think automatically the next turn, or the end of the turn, he will simply pop up again in Sydney or Brisbane, somewhere in Australia, I think. So you cannot really lose this HQ. It's only, I mean, it gets destroyed and then you get the shell back, and then you must fill up the unit again with support, and you know, I think it's only support units. But you not really can lose the MacArthur headquarter unit completely. Yeah, let's see what happened here. We can see our bombardment softened up some units. And there's one unit at least destroyed just now. But it's more successful, you can see. We have less power, the allies also have less power. So we now fight not more against this 3 fort, now it's only a 2 fort. So... And then we destroy the fort also at the end, so next attack will be only a fort level 1, so fort level 1 is more or less only a... I don't know, it's not really have impact more. And we can now see that we lost a little, but still most is disabled. Again, I would say 10% destroyed, 90% disabled. And yeah, also for the allies, it's little more destroyed. You can maybe 1 destroyed and 2 disabled, but yeah. The enemy units. Oh, okay. The defenders also now low on supplies. Means it's not more possible for the allies to get the disabled unit back to combat ready. So they cannot really repair anything. And normally our forces, they still at the end of the turn, I think if there are supplies, the unit always try to repair a disabled unit and bring it back to active duty. So maybe, yeah, similar to Singapore, not an easy victory, but also no failure up to now. We maybe lose some time, but yeah, this was the last day of January. And officially, I think 5th April, the Japanese first took the base. So we have still plenty of time. If I can wait now 1 or 2 turns to rest my army and then take the base maybe at 5th of February, I would still say too much faster. Still 8 weeks more quickly. Here is the oil, so we need this base. And I think the base force gives simply up. Yeah. This has the Dutch forces. And we finish this and then it's done. And this was also the last battle of the day. Okay. Now it's February 1st, 1942. And we can check. The air war was not really active. Yeah, we killed 2 in the skies, 2 on the ground. Operation losses 3 to 4. Yeah, not really a busy day. And sunk ships is now... Oh, let's check this. We lost the Japanese ship. Crazy. 1 point. Patrol ship. Yeah. I mean, you can see anti-submarine 2. Slow. Yeah. No big really. Okay, the Allies, they lost their repulse. The 202 points. So Dojo must kill many of our patrol ships to even out this this ratio. Yeah. It's a cruiser killer, I would say. This ship normally, of course, the firepower of these battle cruisers are not bad, and is already radar, so it is normally good for night fighting, I would say. But simply not this night fight because it was so damaged. But if this battle cruiser fight at daylight, you can see the armor belt 200 is this is just enough to stop the 20 centimeter guns. But everything stronger than a 20 centimeter gun normally can penetrate the armor belt, and then this ship also easily can get destroyed. It's yeah. It's similar normally to the Japanese Congo class battleships, because also faster. The firepower is okay to fight, but the protection is low. Simply, but still I would say it's good to get rid of this ship because it is with radar, air and surface radar, and it can if you let it survive more or less, this ship can get much more anti-aircraft firepower and better radar, so more easy to find the target at day and especially at night. So this is only some whatever. Good. Yeah, not much more happened here. So we kick Dojo's Xi'an forces back, but I think will stop. It's this is now the heavy mountain area. It's easily to lose. It's not easy to catch up. The supply situation will get more critical, and I simply have here this 200,000 guys in my back, and I cannot operate an army too deep in the mountains and have the threat to get cut my supply line. So I simply must get rid of this 2-3 forces here in the source first before we can push here more. And here we can simply starve Yan'an out and wait what Dojo is doing. If he is not coming out, he will die. If he come out, he will die. If he try to run away, he die. So it'll let Dojo simply choose how he won't die, but he will die. Here we still they try to escape and we try to catch up, but we still only half the way. So maybe we will just miss this force. I don't know. We will see. Here in the source we pick up we arrive in the hex. But Dojo tried to run away, and we will see if we can catch up or not. Yeah, I think the Air Force is now ready for strike again. Yeah, so the fatigue is down to 12. I had them on training, so the fatigue go down a little, and they get some additional experience points. You can still see here we are on 68 in average, and 70 is the maximum you can train. So you can see there's no one go over 70 more. You just can see that this unit, the orange, means this month, so this is the last of the month, or the last month. It counts still from the last turn, so it still counts from January. So this pilot gets in this month the last point, but I think by active duty. So this guy maybe gets it from training because 70 is the maximum. This guy gets just last turn some skill point. So this is why it's green. And he can still go to 70, but then it's over. Okay, but in average we are coming close to 70, and then 70 is simply the maximum we can get experience and skill points. And then this is an elite group. And if this unit will survive, then this is one of the first units I will normally give the Dojo. If I get enough Dojos, then I would switch this unit to Dojo. Because the Dojo is still the number 1 fighter, and then the Oscar will be only some support fighter. But we talk about April. Okay. Yeah, Singapore, we clean up all the mines. So the port of Singapore is now free, that I can bring my ships in, but we can still see that the port damage is now still 81, and before we had 100. We had some other damage here, so I would say 2 more turns and then the port is repaired. And we must first repair the port before we can use it to rearm ships. So I can bring down my ships, but at least 2 turns they must wait to rearm the torpedoes. So maybe in 3 turns we can have our carrier fleet. Where is our carrier fleet now? Oh, our carrier fleet maybe arrived already. Yeah, our carrier fleet arrived already. But it's not possible to rearm this. So we must wait till the port is done. 2 more turns. We simply use the time to train our units. If you have no active combat area, I mean if you are sure that there's no combat coming, then you can always switch best your air force to training. A day, it's waste of opportunity to train your pilots so long they can still learn something. I mean, these are elite pilots, they normally cannot learn more much. Or normally they can learn nothing more. You can see they are all 100%. There is nothing more you can get out of training. So these units to train make normally no sense. Still it's why not? I mean, yeah, it's make no sense, but you also consume no supplies normally with this, and it's more easy to organize to say train all. I simply say this fighter, and I say all of these fighters train, because we still have here, these are other fighter groups. They are still in the same task force. But these units, they have still not reached the maximum. And yeah, there's also one guy here, you can see, somehow he joined the squadron, I don't know why. He have experience, but he's normally something like a Navy scout pilot. So he's normally a scout plane pilot, because he have already high defense skill level, he have experience, but somehow he enter in this fighter group. Sometimes this happens. You request a replacement, and I don't know, sometimes this happens that you get a pilot normally not what you want. So you can maybe check this from time to time, and if you realize there's something wrong, then you can normally say kick this guy to the reserve, and then from the reserve you can put it back to the normal reserve. First group reserve and then group reserve to reserve. It's a little complicated and it's a lot of micromanagement, so I also not always, this is a level I also stop normally. I would say I can check it, and if I realize, oh, there's something totally wrong, then I do it. But it's too complicated, I would say, it's only one pilot. Forget it. So, yeah. And we now must repair the shipyard of Singapore. This needs some time. The whole month of February for sure. And normally you can see somewhere in middle of April we are ready. Middle of March, I would say. Middle of March. Good, so we take this base here also, and we capture nearly all intact, so only 1 damage, so this is fine. More oil. Here is only little damage, so we need some more supplies. We need over 10,000 supplies to start repair. Tarakan is I think already done. Yeah, everything is done, so I only build up here the port and the airfield because if the sum of this of port and airfield is a 9, you have unlimited capacity. And simply this is it's normally not a really big oil facility. It's normally, you can control this, but sometimes you forget or you don't care this so much, and you say, fill up first the oil. Now I can handle up to 70,000 tons of oil, but and we have 10,000 crude oil and 24,000, so we are only at 35,000 out of 73,000. And if you build this up, then maybe we have 100,000. But simply if you have a 9, you don't care this more, because then it's unlimited. And a bigger port means normally always, a port 4 is not too crazy big, but it's big enough to handle the bigger task forces. So now it was only 24,000 tons. If we get it to a 4, then it's already double the points, and it's 48,000 tons of a task force. So you can also bring here not only one tanker, you can bring here a task force with 3-4 tankers. Then in one task force can already handle 40,000 oil. It's more easy to handle this. You don't must make many small task forces. You can make one big task force. Not crazy big, but bigger. Of course, every player must decide what he wants to, but I would simply say, if there's some oil or resources, and it's not only a very small stuff, like Brunei is it's 20 in total, and the oil also will flow automatically normally to Miri, and then we can catch the oil here, and then we bring it out of Miri out. But if you have something like Miri, especially Miri, it's a classic, you need support at least level 3 to make sure that there is no submarine can enter the harbor more. Port 3 is safe for submarine attack, and I think this is better to have this. And also this is a super mini port now with 12,000. How you won't ever get here the oil out. Here you can see we can now have nearly 99,000 tons of liquid, but we have already reached this level because we have here 88,000 plus 7,000, so there's not more much capacity left. Good, but I think this is so far all. China is slowly changing. We just take Singapore. The armies in Singapore are on rest. They simply must rest. And then you can see these units are now in very good support condition. So because it's green, normally you have red, white and green. Red means there's not enough support, so the possibility to reactivate disabled units and bring them active is limited or reduced. If it's white, then there's a normal factor, but if you have this green, then it means this unit have over support. So this unit gets everything what they ask for, and not even, they're getting more than they ask for. They don't get only 1 meal per day. No, these Japanese soldiers, they're getting 2 meals per day. No, this is crazy. So these guys are very happy, and they will say, okay, let's join the fighting forces again. And to get this support level up, you normally simply need a big base with supplies. And most important is you have some HQ. Then this HQ will have this support bonus. And this support bonus simply will, I think, divide it to the units. But I don't know why some have this green and some they don't require this, or they don't get it. Or if maybe it's that the HQ will start from the first unit, because this is green, then you can say this one is also green and this one is green. This is green, and then it's over. So this I also don't know exactly how the game. Maybe it's simply this unit requires something, this unit also require, and so the HQ say, okay, I first try to fix this unit, and if all is done, this maybe will drops to white, because then it's have no meaning more to give them additional support, and then it will start with the next unit. Okay, Well, something else, something else, something else. Here is still, yeah. So we get here some, but this detection level is only 3 out of 10, so not so reliable information. But we can see that airfield is damaged, port is damaged, and there are some fighters on the ground. And around 10,000 guys. Maybe. But total number, not fighting units, so maybe half-half. And our battleship fleet is just on the way back. And we consume all our ammunition, and we must go back to Truk, because Rabaul is simply not big enough to rearm battleships so far. But in Rabaul we have now a port of 6 and we're going close to 7, and then it's fine. Then we can fix here everything in Truk. And then we try to bring here also the Rabaul port fast up to a 7 and the airfield 7. And then we don't must go Truk more. Once we get the 7-7 port in Rabaul, then normally Truk is a backup base. But then you can normally also try to bring all to Rabaul and take the next bases here, and then you operate from Rabaul. And after you take Rabaul, it's hard to get a big base, because you must find a port of 4, and I don't know if there's any port of 4 here more left, because I think the next port 4, they're all small, they're all only 3 normally. So I think the next port 4 is possible for the Japanese is here, Nomaya. So Nomaya and Rabaul is of course a very long distance. It's not easy to support each other. So you need these other bases. And they have at least a port 3 and an airfield of 4 or 5 here on Tulagi and the other islands, and then you can try to maintenance Nomaya. It sounds good to have this base, because of course then you are very close to New Zealand, and you can really completely close this supply line in here, this area. But it's also a good opportunity for the ally player to simply cut you here in the north. You must bring your supplies down, and Brisbane, so the allies can always bring any submarines very easy here, and they can also use long range scout airplanes. We will see what happened here. I'm normally not too eager for this kind of islands. More important is that you have at least this bases here. And okay. The submarines, I think there's not much to show. I only try, because Dojo really have here too much guys running and hunting, so I will move my submarines now east, more close to California. And what is damaged or out of fuel or out of the torpedoes simply go back, and if it's arrive at the base of Truk or wherever, then I will normally send them now to the coast of Australia and let them hunt here in this area. Good. I think this is all first. Next time we have this little more longer, more in-depth information, background information, logistics turn, and then I will explain a little more simply. Thank you all, see you, take care, bye bye.